In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while a wind from God swept over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness God called night. And there was evening and there was morning, the first day. And God said, "Let there be a dome in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters." So God made the dome, and separated the waters that were under the dome from the waters that were above the dome. And it was so. God called the dome sky. And there was evening and there was morning, the second day. And God said, "Let the waters under the sky be gathered together in one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the waters that were gathered together God called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the earth put forth vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit trees of every kind on earth that bear fruit with the seed in it." And it was so. The earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seed of every kind, and trees of every kind bearing fruit with seed in it. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning, the third day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the dome of the sky to separate the day from night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be lights in the dome of the sky to give light upon the earth." And it was so. God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. God set them in the dome of the sky to give light upon the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning, the fourth day. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the dome of the sky." So God created the great sea monsters and every living creature that moves of every kind, with which the waters swarm, and every winged bird of every kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth." And there was evening and there was morning, the fifth day. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures of every kind, cattle, creeping things, wild animals of the earth of every kind." And it was so. God made the wild animals of the earth of every kind, and the cattle of every kind, and everything that creeps upon the ground of every kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the wild animals of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." So God created humankind in God's image. In the image of God, God created them. Male and female, God created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the air and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. God said, "See, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given every green plant for food." And it was so. God saw everything God had made, and indeed it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all their multitude. And on the seventh day, God finished the work that God had done, and God rested on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. So God blessed the seventh day and hallowed it, because on it God rested from all the work that God had done in creation. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
And so today we start at the very beginning, which Julie Andrews taught us is a very good place to start. In the beginning. The book of Genesis begins with a once upon a time kind of story. Back when the universe was primordial ooze, was without form or substance, and God breathed her spirit over the face of the chaos and brought order. And it was good. Don't ever forget the goodness of God's creation. There have been gods throughout history who were known to be largely capricious and destructive. People worship those gods in fear and not in hopes. They worship those gods trying not to make them angry. You can still see that today. People convinced that God would send them to hell just for fun. People worried that they need to check off boxes in order to be loved by the God who created them and declared them good. We see people worshiping capricious and destructive gods of power and war and cruelty and chaos. You don't have to look hard at the news to see the worship of those gods today. But in Genesis 1, you see God creating in joy and in love, taking what was formless, void, and creating light and sky and land and sun and moon and creepy crawly things and birds and cows and even people. The fact that the hedgehog and the platypus and the penguin exist show me that God finds joy and delight in the creative process. Seriously, why do those animals exist? Other than for the delight of God. On Twitter a number of years ago, people imagined God's conversations as God was creating the animals. God creating snakes. How about a sock that's angry all the time? God creating horses. Take a donkey, but make it sexy. God creating parrots. How about a tie-dye chicken that screams actual words at you? God creating dogs. Oh, these turned out great. I'm going to want those all back at some point. That may not be a verbatim transcript of the fifth and sixth day of creation, but I think it's at least partly right. God's work in the creation story is imaginative. It is delightful. It is collaborative. And think of how humanity has continued as God began, creating art and music, literature, antibiotics, vaccines, pizza, women's basketball, the comedy of Monty Python. So many things humans have created. course, our creative work is not the same as God's creating works, and sometimes we forget our place as creation, pretending we were the creators of the universe itself. But when we create to make the world better, to bring beauty and joy into the world, when we do that, we continue as God began. And God declares that good. God declares their creation good. This could be the topic of our sermons for the rest of my natural life. It won't be, but it could be. God declares creation good. We read those words and we hear those words. Do you believe those words? I read the news and I realize how hard it is for us to believe that other people are also God's good creation. I hear the critic in my head and realize how hard it is sometimes to believe that I am God's good creation. And both of those things have to go together. If you only believe that God created you good and everybody else is a hot mess, that's a problem. But it's also a problem if you believe God created everyone else good, but you were a disappointment. We have to believe that everyone in God's creation was created good, because God declared their creation good, and that includes you. It includes every person you have or will ever meet, and many people you have not and will never meet. Now, not all human behavior is good, but each human being is good. We have an entire economy and political system that we have created that tells us a different story. We're told other people are not worth loving or housing or protecting or honoring. And those messages may not say anything at all about God. The messaging may be about how the people themselves are responsible for why we don't need to care for them. They are poor because they don't want to work. They should be deported because they should have stayed in their own country. They voted for that candidate we don't like, so they must be idiots, etc. We separate ourselves from seeing the created goodness and humanity of each other all the time. And it must stop. Because each and every person involved in these stories in the news, these stories that we talk about, they're people who were created by God, and God declares their creation good. Our policies may still need to limit society's response, but it would be clearer and more honest if the messaging were, these people were made by God and are worthy of our respect and care, but we don't want to raise taxes to care for them. Or, these people were made by God and are worthy of our respect and care, but we're afraid because they're different than we are. Whatever the honest message is, we should be telling that. Because God declares their creation good, and who are we to say otherwise? The economy may be even more set up to make it hard to believe that we in these frail human bodies could be considered good. We spend well over $100 billion a year on beauty and fitness in this country. We are told, and we too easily believe, that if only our hair, our skin, our face, our weight, our strength, our fitness, our height, our body shape, if only those things were different, then maybe, God might be happy with their creation, that is us. And yes, take care of your body and your health. But don't do it so God will declare you good. Do it because God already has. We have to let go of some idealized notion of what the perfect human should look like and remember that in God's good creative process, diversity was built in. We are supposed to be different, with different gifts and different strengths and different abilities. My husband, and I can talk about him because he's not here, this is what he gets, among his many gifts, seems to have been built for speed and endurance. He can run for days through pain. He's run 100-mile races over mountains. It is unfathomable to me, as it is impressive to me. And though I have tried to match him, not quite in the 100 miles, but in the running, I cannot do it. Because I appear to have been built for comfort. And I don't mean to brag, but I can sit for long stretches at a time, sometimes doing absolutely nothing. He and I are different. God created each of us good, and God created us not to be exactly the same. This past week, we went kayaking up in Sausalito, and as I slowly paddled around the bay, I watched some sort of pelican-y, osprey-y sort of bird flying fast and impossibly low, just inches off the water, grabbing fish out of the bay, getting lunch. It was amazing. In Alaska, I've seen bald eagles swoop down from impossibly high heights to pull fish out of the water that they were ready to eat. I have also once had a seagull land on my head and take a hot dog out of the bun as I was about to eat it. 3 different kinds of birds. God created them all, and thousands more species. And God has declared their creation good. But God did not just make one perfect bird. God delighted in creating them different from each other, with different skills and needs and abilities, even if I would be upset about the seagulls for the rest of my life. The choir and I get the best view in the house each week in worship. We get to look out and see all of your lovely faces. I invite you to look around right now and do that. Look around, see who's here with you. While God's creation is even more diverse than who is present in this room, we do get a glimpse of God's creation and God's creative decisions right here. Not a one of you are the same, even if you might be a twin. We're all different skin colors and different political orientations and different gender expressions and different sexual identities. We have different taste in music and ice cream and pizza toppings and favorite sports teams. God said, "Let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness." Look around, friends. Y'all, all of y'all, are the image of God, reflecting the goodness of God. And I challenge us all this week to see the goodness of God's creation when we look in the mirror and when we're walking the streets of our city, even on Muni, when we're reading the news. You will never meet, see, hear about a person that God did not create in love. So may we reflect that love back to them, because the stakes are high. Suicide rates have increased 37% since the year 2000. Self-harm, eating disorders, violence, all of these things are connected to losing sight of the goodness of God's creation in ourselves and in others. You, yes, you, and you, and you, and you, were created good in the image of God. I invite you to tell that to your neighbor. You were created in the image of God. Tell that to your neighbor. Who you are is beautiful, and it is good, and it matters. You are loved. You are enough. You are God's beautiful creation. Go reflect that out to the world. Amen.